59. Coming up in the noon hour, KUOW's The Record with Bill Randke. Hello, Bill Randke.
Hello there. You know, I don't know everyone who's listening to me right now, but I do know this. Your ballots are due in less than a week. Whomever you are, we're going to help you through one major issue in the election when it comes to the city of Seattle and its environs. We're going to ask how the candidates differ in the way they would approach homelessness. Also, how local law enforcement used a new state gun law to disarm an accused neo-Nazi. And my guest calls this the golden age of whistleblowing. Edward Snowden, Chelsea Manning, Hanford Nuclear Reservation, Trump and Ukraine. His book is Crisis of Conscience, Whistleblowing in an Age of Fraud. This is The Record. I'm Bill Randke. Who is the anonymous whistleblower who reported President Trump's phone call with the Ukrainian president? Trump and some other Republicans would like to reveal the CIA officer's name, and then what would happen to that person? My next guest has studied the act of whistleblowing, including here in Washington at the Hanford Nuclear Reservation. Tom Muller's new book is called Crisis of Conscience, Whistleblowing in an Age of Fraud. Tom, welcome to KUOW.
Thank you, Bill. Good to be here.
Some people have called this Ukraine whistleblower a leaker. I believe President Trump called him almost a spy. Is he a whistleblower?
Most definitely a whistleblower, yes. This person and the group of people behind this person have followed official channels. They've filed an official whistleblower complaint with the IG. They're 100% whistleblowers.
So many people have come out and corroborated and testified about this phone call, about the question of quid pro quo. So if this original whistleblower were unmasked, what would we expect to happen to him or her?
It's difficult to say. Obviously, Trump supporters are vilifying this person as a spy and a traitor. Other people on the other side of the spectrum are saying they might be pawns or puppets of spy masters and so on. Ultimately, it's deflecting from the fundamental point. That is, they have filed a 9-page whistleblower complaint in which there are facts and figures, people to question, and documents to subpoena. Congress needs to do that, check the facts, and move on. We are not to be dissuaded from focusing on the facts by a drift towards what is this person's motives? Why are they doing this? Both of those narratives are misleading.
Well, I ask what might happen to this whistleblower because that's a lot of what your book is about, is what happens to a whistleblower. And it's not pretty sometimes.
Yeah, it's very rarely pretty. People do the right thing time and time again, are visited with life-changing, career-ending retaliation. And I think it's a really bad sign for our society that we can accept and even applaud a whistleblower's facts, but then allow them to be blackballed by their work community for the rest of their lives.
Why does that happen? I mean, I think the image whistleblowing, that seems like a pretty noble image, especially compared to spying and leaking. I mean, don't we generally have a positive impression of somebody who takes the risk? We make movies about people like that. Takes the risk to be a whistleblower?
We do when it's another person's group, another group. But when it's our own group, we have a very strong tendency towards loyalty and obedience. And quite often that overrides our sense of justice and truth.
Yeah, well, what's an example of that?
Well, at the Hanford Nuclear Reservation, for example, which may be the place on Earth with the highest density of whistleblowers ever.
Yeah, you call it ground zero for whistleblowing.
Very definitely, because there is an intensity of secrecy, of an enormous amount of public money widely available, and massive regulatory capture of the Department of Energy by massive contractors. Those three things are the predictors of whistleblowing, because there's also a huge public danger. And Hanford Nuclear Reservation should be a household word in America.
In fact, I think you're appearing tonight at is it Elliott Bay Books tonight, right?
That's right.
With one of the recent Hanford whistleblowers?
Correct, with Donna Bushy and Tom Carpenter from Hanford Challenge, a number of people who know a great deal about this issue.
Will you tell that basic story of their Hanford Nuclear Reservation whistleblowing and what became of the blowers?
Yes, essentially Walt Tomasidis and Donna Bushy blew the whistle on the waste treatment plant, which is being built and is still theoretically being built to the tune of many billions of dollars of tax money by Bechtel, URS, AECOM, and other major contractors. These two very senior nuclear safety engineers blew the whistle on what they considered, in their professional opinion, to be severe dangers to public good. If this thing went online as designed, it might have caused a criticality, which in layman's terms means a mushroom cloud or something very, very serious. And they both blew the whistle. They both had very good facts. They both pushed those facts home in successful lawsuits on several levels. They both are unemployed right now. They cannot get a job in their chosen line of work again. What's wrong with this picture?
Yeah, there were massive settlements in this case. And by the way, the whistleblowers get a share of that settlement, right? So, I mean, how much money did they make for finally after all their work, all their suffering?
Well, you have to calculate how much money is paid in attorney fees, how much money is then taxed away. But you also have to look at the other flip side of this, and that is if they were extremely highly paid nuclear engineers and they continued to work, how much money would they make? How would their retirement look like? What would their health benefits be? Almost in every case, net, you make much more money hunkering down and getting with the program than blowing the whistle. And the fact is that these people are out of work. They're unemployable.
Why is that? By now, it seems like they've been vindicated. Why can they still not get a job? Why isn't that a scandal?
It is a scandal, Bill. I think that is exactly the billion-dollar question here. How can we tolerate? How can we go to a theater and cheer these dozens of new whistleblower films that come out every decade, and yet we go home and we allow these real people who really took the major dramatic step of blowing the whistle on wrongdoing to be systematically blackballed? I mean, to me that means that the industry is acting like a RICO vehicle, or at least a cartel. I mean, they're excluding these people because they did the right thing. What's wrong with that?
This is Tom Mueller, whose new book is called Crisis of Conscience, Whistleblowing in an Age of Fraud. You say we're in a golden age of whistleblowing.
Yes.
Why is that?
Well, I mean, just in terms of the number of whistleblower laws that are being passed, the level of whistleblower lawsuits that are being brought, the number of tax dollars being returned to the Treasury from the ill-gotten gains from stolen tax dollars. Also, as we talked about, films and books on the subject. This is definitely a time when the image of the whistleblower in the public mind is very, very strong. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, the reason that we have whistleblowing, this is not good news for our society. I mean, we shouldn't need these individuals to step forward and basically commit career suicide in order to right these wrongs. Our organizations are subject to increasing corruption and a normalization of fraud that we really need to stop. I mean, many whistleblowers have said to me, I hate the word whistleblower. I was just doing my job. And that's what we need to, as a society, do better on.
So let's say I wanted to blow a whistle. How would you advise me? How do I go about doing that? Minimize my harm.
Step number 1, step number 2, and step number 3, get a good lawyer. Go to Hanford Challenge, go to the Government Accountability Project, go to other people who...
Should I go to that lawyer before I go to my supervisor, for example? It seems like the natural thing to do. It's like, well, hey, boss, got a problem here. I'm checking in with you.
Inevitably, in every single case of whistleblowing that I looked into, and I looked into more than 200, the whistleblower first goes within the chain of command, within their organization. Because they are in good faith. They think, hey, my boss, when she learns that there's a problem here, she'll fix this.
Yeah.
And only later do they realize this is a feature and not a bug. So that's an open question. I think, in good faith, going and testing the waters and seeing what appetite there is within your organization to fix this. And there probably are many, many cases where it gets done. But as soon as there's pushback, consult expert legal help. You need legal guidance.
But how does that legal guidance help you get the word out and fix the problem?
Well, fundamentally, good whistleblower lawyers understand both the law and how you will bring suit or at least bring pressure to make this problem stop. Because the number one thing whistleblowers want to do is make the problem stop, right? Typically, they only are interested in getting this problem fixed. But they also understand the mosaic of laws and regulations that you're going to have to navigate. They also understand PR. They understand strategy of how you trickle the information out, perhaps, how you go about out Machiavelliing the Machiavellis.
Should you go to an investigative journalist?
Yeah, only if you talk with a lawyer first. I have had many whistleblowers approach me since I've started writing on whistleblowing.
Really?
And I'm not good with some investigative journalists say, give me the story, because the lawyer may say, hey, you don't talk to that journalist. I'm not comfortable with that modus operandi. I don't want to contribute to this person's harm. Ultimately, the lawyer and the whistleblower want to get their word out anyway. I'll be there with the story when the time comes, but they need to be out of harm's way.
What's a case you're going to pursue?
Ooh, I can't talk about that right now.
Really?
This is like staying out of harm's way.
Yeah,
Yes.
but you must have case or multiple cases where you're thinking, oh my God, this is going to be huge, or not?
Very definitely. I had an entire chapter in my book on a particularly ugly corner of healthcare brought to me by whistleblowers. That's going to be my next book.
Yeah, right. We only hear about the impactful whistleblowers. How often does whistleblowing actually work? Because that'd be a different take. If I think that in reality my chances are like a snowball's in hell, that might be different about whether I'm going to risk so much.
That's right, and that's why retaliation is so savage, because organizations that have gone wrong want to send a very strong message to people. Look what will happen to you if you raise your head. On the other hand, there are a lot of times when, I wasn't able to get the story because the organization did fix the problem. I mean, I admit that my book has a certain sampling bias because I talk about the cases that went nuclear, as it were.
Right.
There are many.
These are the ones we hear about.
That's exactly right. But again, the patterns of retaliation that happen again and again in different industries that I look at, healthcare and defense and nuclear cleanup and hospitals and so on and so forth, it's the same almost tribal behaviors that come out again and again. It's the group that suddenly realizes that they have an intruder inside. And part of
Circle the wagons.
Exactly. Part of it's the bosses not wanting to mess up the fraud scheme, but it's also another group of people who have a guilty conscience and they know that they've been kind of going along with something unacceptable, and they jump on the person who stands up.
Okay, so how morally clear-cut is the decision to blow the whistle? I mean, even a whistleblower could be wrong, could be misguided, could be morally conflicted.
Absolutely. And the fact is, although I admit fascination with looking into their hearts and trying to figure out their motivations, it is totally irrelevant. You can, and it's in law, as a matter of law, if you blow the whistle because you have the heart of Mother Teresa or you really want to stick it to your boss, it doesn't matter. What matters is, are your facts good or not? Will they stand scrutiny or not? And if they are good, why you did this is totally irrelevant. And again, it's a way of shifting focus from what we need to do, check these facts, to who is this person? Why are they doing this? The best smokescreen in the world for making the message go away.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be dealing with that in this Ukraine situation to come. Tom Muller, the current book is Crisis of Conscience, Whistleblowing in an Age of Fraud. Sounds like you have an explosive another book or three in you, so I hope we can talk again.
I'm looking forward to it, Bill. Thank you very much.
From Spokane, Tom Muller, and he's going to be tonight in Seattle at the Elliott Bay Book Company, 7 o'clock tonight, I believe, with one of those Hanford whistleblowers.
That's right.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you very much, Bill.
It's the...
Wow. So I really wonder, does KUOW and the journalists here in the Northwest really care about getting whistleblowers heard? Or are they selective in which whistleblowers they hear from and get and amplify their voices? Why is KUOW not trying to help the 400 injured farm workers in our state that also say we need help? Why are they not hearing me as an injured worker and a pensioner, L&I pensioner who has proved I was harmed in my work comp care? Why are they not hearing me cry out for the harm done to injured nurses in the state of Washington and across America and all injured workers who are being harmed? I really want to know why it is that I called this reporter, KUOW, beforehand and sent him emails about the harm done to us and the needed minimum federal oversight. I want to know why he didn't talk about the needed federal oversight for America's injured workers that I've been begging of him to talk about. How is that getting our voices heard? How is that representing the injured workers of America? How is that helping us all? KUOW, when you are selective with which whistleblowers you care to hear from. Thank you and have a good day. Howdy folks, my name is Darren Ray Fonso and I'm here to tell you about war on injured workers and war on injured Hanford workers and how we've had some whistleblowers speak up at Hanford and how they're getting a lot of press right now. And I would like to know, while they're getting that press, if they're going to stand up and fight for the 400 injured farm workers in Washington State who say our state work comp system is failing them, and millions of other injured workers across this country are demanding the minimum federal oversight to stop a class war being waged on all of us injured workers, not just the ones at Hanford. So let's see what they have to say. I'm going to call a news reporter right now who's supposed to be interviewing the whistleblowers today from Hanford at KUOW News. So let's try.
Hi, Hi, it's Bill Randke. Thanks for calling KUOW. In a moment, you'll hear the beep, and you can leave us a message. Tell us your name, where you're calling from, and then tell us what you have to say. We might even call you back. Thanks again.
At the tone, please record your message.
Hi, my name is Darren Ray Fonso, and I'm an injured Washington State injured worker. I'm actually a L&I work comp pensioner, and I was harmed in my work by Washington L&I and our state work comp system, and so are a lot of other injured workers across this nation. And so you're going to talk about whistleblowers. I want to know, are you going to talk about the 400 injured farm workers in our state who are trying to blow the whistle on the harm done to the rest of us injured workers, not just the harm done at Hanford. It's almost like Hanford is used as smoke and mirrors and distractions from the harm done to 400 injured farm workers in the state that nobody seems to want to step up and represent. So I would like to know, Mr. Bill Randke, I am sharing with the Injured Workers of America, and you may want to Google me because the Injured Workers of America are hearing me. I don't educate the general public like you, sir. I'm only trying to educate the angry injured workers who are victimized by broken state work comp systems that need some minimum federal oversight that you, sir, failed to tell us about. And so does Tom Carpenter from the Hanford Challenge. And I'm going to be calling Tom next. But please do, give me a call back, and I'm going to call again one more time and leave you my number just because I'm sharing this live on the internet and I don't want everybody calling me right at this moment. So I'm going to give you a call back, sir, and I'm going to ask you, what's up? Why are you not representing injured workers? In about 3 hours from now, I've sent you several emails, and 3 hours from now, you're about to interview the whistleblowers from Hanford. I want to know, sir, as you, when I listen to that conversation, that you bring up the minimum federal oversight that we need in the 400 injured farm workers. Because if you fail to do so and fail to establish the fact that we have several injured workers' websites calling for change in our broken state work comp systems and the minimum federal oversight that you people are failing to tell us about, then this is a fake front by a liberal group that has no intent of getting honest, and you're giving Bob Ferguson an award when the rest of us injured workers in the state, that's who we have to fight against. We are pitted against the Attorney General, and you are injured on the job. He becomes enemy of the injured worker. That needs to be talked about. That needs to be addressed. And so would you please, yes, give me a call back, and I'll give you my number here in a minute. And I just wanted to let the Injured Workers of America know that I'm calling out to KUOW Bill Randke, who is supposed to be a journalist and supposed to have some integrity and be honorable and tell the truth about a war on labor and injured workers, but yet seems to only want to be focused on Hanford. Just like, what's her name? Oh, gosh, shoot, I can't remember her name now. But anyways, the lady from King 5, she only tells us about Hanford workers. And then there's another reporter, Jerry Cornfield from the Everett Herald. He tells us there's no harm to injured workers, and don't listen to what the Senator Sanders and Patty Murray's letter that said our state is one of 33 states failing injured workers. Yes, I'm going to give you a call back, and I'm going to give you my number, sir. But please do bring up these issues as you interview the Hanford Challenge people today and Tom Carpenter and work comp whistleblowers from the state of Washington and Hanford. Please do talk about the rest of the injured workers in the state and the 400 injured farm workers and all the rest of us being harmed and being put through hell, who need some minimum federal standards to stop this war from being waged upon us through our health care. Thank you, sir, and have a great day.
If you are satisfied with your message, press 1. To send your message with normal delivery, press 1. To send your message with urgent delivery, press 2. Your message has been sent. To disconnect, press 1. To enter another number, press 2. Goodbye.
All right, there you have it. And that's the call to the journalist here at KUOW who is supposed to be getting the injured workers' voices heard here in the state of Washington.